So getting ready for these episodes, we got a chance to hang a little bit last night, and I was telling you how a lot of times I'll prep for episodes and like try to learn as much as I can about somebody, but not send them a sheet of like, here's all the things I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Because they just recite answers instead
Yeah.
of talking to somebody.
I promise you, I'm not going to recite anything today.
Oh, I believe it.
Everything's from the hip.
Fresh off the hip.
Yeah.
You walked 90 miles down the coast.
Oh yeah.
And sang some songs.
Yeah.
What's the walking tour?
I had just gotten out of the Navy, and I had told myself that I'm committing my life to writing songs, and that's a pretty absurd thing to do, especially at the age of 28, to make that decision of like, I'm going to go do this kind of like, it's a weird thing to do. You know, from a lot of people, that's a weird decision to make.
Right.
And so I had written a song called Walking that was kind of like the anthem for me to go on this journey and of creativity, and I wanted to like embody that as much as I could right out of the gate. And so I like crazy ideas. Like I love an idea that like is out of pocket, and I'm always trying to find things that nobody has done before, or at least I haven't seen anybody done before. I'm sure someone's done. Most things have been done, but like I wanna experience something fresh. You know, like I want to live my life as if I'm not copying anybody.
Interesting.
Know? And so I had an idea of walking down the coast, and I just try to reach out to people and try to see how that might work. And I had a good friend. I have a good friend, Will, who was down to like make this come to life. Mm-hmm. And Emily helped me out. And so there's like friends that kind of like helped me make this possible. And so I started up in Costa Mesa, where we're at now. Mm-hmm. And I live in San Diego, and it's about 90 miles back to where I live in San Diego from here. And I planned it around the release of the song, and I walked from here. I played at house show here, and then I would walk like 30-ish miles, give or take, a day. And then I get to another show, play a little show.
Damn.
And then and then walk 30 miles to the next show. And then I ended out playing the last show in my backyard the day that the song came out.
So cool.
Yeah.
Where were you sitting at, and like what was going through your mind when this idea hit you?
Well, I knew enough about the way the world worked that nobody cares about what you do unless you make people care about it.
Right.
And I cared a lot about my song that was coming out.
Right. Yeah.
But I also knew that other people didn't know about it, because why would they? And so I was like, what is also something that would be kind of interesting? Could I do something that's interesting? And that was the most interesting that I could come up with. And I like physical feats of endurance as well. Like I'll do, I like knowing what my limit is. Like I'll always try to see what that, I'm like curious about my limit. One time I did I attempted to do a 24-hour TikTok live stream where I try to sing songs for 24 hours straight.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Singing song. I don't know if anybody's even tried to do that before. But I tried to do it.
How many songs is that if an average song is like 3 minutes? That's got to be so many songs.
I'm terrified of public math, but...
Well, that's 20 times
24.
So 480.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah.
My mom's in finance. I think it's genetic. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
Shout out to you, Mom.
That's great.
Thanks for the math skills.
So I like trying to see it. I actually think I saw a podcast. Did you do one on Masogis? Masogis, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had a little book club where we read that book, and I like that concept.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
So did you find any limits about yourself during
the walking tour? I didn't find any limits, because I've played soccer and I'm pretty decent at running, and like just so I didn't like meet any. I got roasted by the sun because I didn't wear any sunscreen.
Oh shit!
And I was walking I was walking south, and so one side of my body was absolutely toasted.
Oh, that's crazy to think
So,
about. That it just hits one side.
Just one side, all day.
Damn.
I learned. So if I'm going to do it again, I'm going to wear sunscreen. But other than that, that was like the main physical limit. I also, by the end, we didn't time it. It was a logistical game too. You know, it was a lot of logistics. But the thing I did really learn about that, the main thing I got away from that was that I love going on adventures with like friends in like almost in the spirit of like the Hobbits and the Lord of the Rings. Just like having a little posse that you love and then going on a journey is like I that's what I got out of that. Like my friend Grace who was the filmmaker for that, and then my buddy Will who was like helping me make it possible, and then like all my friends back in San Diego who were like kind of waiting for me when I came home.
Yeah.
That was, I learned how much I really love that I want to live my life with friends going on adventures and trying to overcome things that you're not quite sure if you can.
Yeah.
That's
what a beautiful one. So did they stay with you throughout the entire 3 days, or did you kind of like pick some up and then?
I was by myself with some chunks. They were in a car.
Yeah.
With a lot of the equipment and stuff, and I was by myself walking the whole way. And so like, at one point I was just on the beach walking by myself for hours, and then they meet up with me and drop me a sandwich and a water.
Yeah.
And at one point I like walked through like a big park by myself. So it was a lot by myself. But it's actually I'm just thinking about it right now. It's kind of a beautiful metaphor for life, actually, because even though that when I look back at that, it was so much of like, I think very fondly about my time with my friends who helped me through it. And it was so much about the camaraderie. But when I'm like actually thinking about it now, as you're asking me, most of it was by myself. And I had to go, I'd meet up with them, and then it was like, hey, I'll see you at the next spot. But this part of the journey, I'm on my own.
Right.
And I think as a creator, that kind of seems to be the architecture of that journey, where you're like, at certain points, you need friends to like encourage you and to be maybe even collab.
Sandwich here and there.
You need a sandwich and some electrolytes, and some people to even walk with you through part. Like I had friends that showed up with me and walk with me through parts of it as well.
Right.
But then at other parts, you're like, this is the part where I go by myself, and so a lot of it by myself and some of it with friends. But when I look back, like I think most fondly about all the people that supported me and like all the memories from it and laughter. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. My, this is reminding me of a new concept me and my buddy came up with the other day. Ooh. Again, we talked about it earlier, probably been said before, but trying to find novel things in life. And we did this hike that we thought was like 4 miles round trip. It turned out to be like 6 miles round trip, but we had my girlfriend and then one of her friends with us. And it was like straight up this fucking mountain, straight down the mountain. And they were like, my buddy who was with us is a marathon runner. And so he's like just flying up this thing, flying down it. But we were talking about, have you heard the difference between type 1 and type 2 fun?
Yes.
Yeah. So type 1 fun is like what you typically think, right? You're partying, you're having fun, backyard barbecue, the things that everybody just knows a good time. Type 2 fun, for the people who don't know, is the kind of thing where like you're outside and then it starts hailing outside and you're like running, trying to find a place to hide under. And it's
You're kind of miserable in the moment.
Miserable in the moment.
Want to be somewhere, anywhere but where you are.
Anywhere but where you are. And then afterwards, when you're talking about it at the next barbecue, you're like, oh my gosh, that was so fun. And then this person slipped and got pelted. So it's fun after the fact. We came up with type 1.5 fun.
1.5. Okay, cool.
Where we figured out that type 1 fun is fun that you sign up for and is awesome. Type 2 fun is fun that you don't sign up for and turns out to be awesome after the fact. But type 1.5 fun is fun that you signed up for, sucks in the moment, but is great afterwards.
You sign up for it, sucks in the moment. Okay, so you're asking. It's basically you gave permission to type 2 fun.
You're right. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You signed up
You
for
signed up
type,
for type 2.
2 fun.
Yeah, that's
So-
like Spartan races and like
Bingo.
marathons and
Yep.
stuff like that. I like type 1.5.
Did this walking tour in some ways feel like type 1.5?
I was type 1.5 with like it. I guess it with maybe 1.75 or something
via sunburn and
sunburn
logistics
and like a certain aspects of unknown. Like there is, you know, I guess would you be a Masogi like a 1.5 or
right?
Is that 1.5? But there's an aspect where you're like, I'm signing up for this, but I also like.
This might just suck the whole way.
Might just suck the whole way. And I just quit and then just be like, that was dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think definitely going in between one and it's probably not good to live in one. Just
for sure.
If you live in one.
Got a lot of growth in one.
No, yeah. That starts to feel like 0. You
for
stick
sure.
with one, you start I don't know what 0 means,
yeah,
but
it weans. Yeah, for sure. You're weaning down to 0.
You're weaning down to 0. Once you hit 0, like, it's game over.
Right.
You don't want to go to just get to 0.
For sure. So, knowing from somebody listening and being like, holy shit, this dude obviously down to do a lot of fun things, down to push himself and release his music. For somebody who jumps in and the first that they've heard of you is this dude writes music and is down to do all these crazy things. They might not know all of the things the dominoes that have fallen to get to a point where you're down to walk 90 miles for the release of a song. What does somebody need to know about your background in order to understand like the person that you are today?
Oh, that's a great question. That's such a good question. Well, I grew up in a big family. I had one of 5 siblings.
Okay.
So like big family, and everything was about sports when I was a kid. Like that was
all athletes.
Same. Yeah. And everything was about, and we were I'm half Japanese.
Okay.
So I got these kind of like, I'm kind of big-ish for Japanese genes, but like my siblings aren't that big. And you know, you kind of have to pick your sports if you're not like built
for
big.
Sure.
So, we did well with soccer.
Okay.
And so we were like a big soccer family, and, it was like as kids, it was like try to be the best you can be as a soccer player, and found a lot of identity in that, and a lot of like satisfaction. And
was it within your family and like externally too?
And externally too. Yeah. But my brother, I'm the middle child, and my brother that's just older than me. He was 1 grade older than me.
Okay. And
we were really close in age, and he was really good at soccer, and he was doing really well for himself, and he was, it was like kind of like brotherly kind of competition as well, trying to keep up and trying to find a certain sense of like identity in your tribe of like just being like, yeah, I can
being able
hang.
to keep up.
Being able to keep up is just, I feel like I think that's a big instinct as humans through our whole lives, I think, but as kids especially.
Yeah.
And the arena was soccer, and so I dedicated my childhood to trying to keep up with that, and so I lived in the world of athletic pursuit, basically all the way, and then that brought me into and it was exciting. And I think back to those days, I'm like, man, I kind of feel like I want a little bit more of that in my life now, because it's thrilling.
It is fun, man.
So fun.
Was soccer? So you grew up in Philly.
Yeah.
Was soccer? Was it looked well upon in Philly?
Yeah, you know, it was like on the way up. Like like it's developed a lot. Like when we were kids, like a pro team came into town. Like, and me and my brother was like the first, they had a youth academy. We were like the first kids to be on this, and we were like wearing the pro jerseys, and you're like training with with all the staff from the pro team. And my brother was getting called up to play with the pro team and in the scrimmages and stuff. And we were like in high school, and I'm seeing my brother playing with like literally men that were like in their 30s and 40s, and we're like in high school.
Yeah.
And you're like,
so it's popping.
It's incredible. And then it was just like, it's exciting when you're a kid, and you get to kind of like see a little taste of what it's like to be, having success in like striving so hard, striving really hard. And then you're like, you see people around you succeeding, and like by no means was I like, like I wasn't like going to be playing pro realistically, but the people on my teams were like, there were people on my teams that are still playing professional soccer, and like people around me, and like even like I played with Christian Pulisic, you know, the best guy in the country.
Crazy.
Just once, because he was younger than me and he came and played it up when he was in the area, and I'm like, who's this little guy? And like I'm just in the world where like I got to see, like just participate in a little bit and get excited about it.
Yeah.
And then I played college at the Naval Academy, and then went on a whole nother journey. So my it was like try to fit in as a kid playing soccer, and then that led me to another thing, which was like getting recruited to play soccer. And I went to the Naval Academy with my brother.
Oh,
and
nice.
we played soccer together at the Naval Academy.
So sick.
Yeah, really.
For one family to have two collegiate athletes that make it into the Naval Academy is a massive deal. Because those by themselves, those two things are hard to do.
Yeah.
But to combine that and have two, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really defined a lot. It was a big defining moment, and it's crazy that I think back to it, because I was a junior in college or junior in high school when you commit to play college sports. But it's beyond that at the Naval Academy. When you're committing to play college sports, you're committing to this whole other thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't come from a military family. There's nobody. I didn't have anybody really to know what that meant. Like, I didn't have any reference of what that was signing up for. I just knew that my brother, that was 1 year older than me, went through it a year before me. And so I'm like, this seems like an adventure, and I'm down to do adventurous things. And it was also free education for a kid who came from one of 5 kids.
Yeah.
And so there's like, I ended up saying yes to this thing that I didn't really know what I was saying yes to. When you're 16 years old, I was 28 years old, supervising a nuclear reactor. And I think back to like, I'd be sitting there, you know, in this control room, being the supervisor of a nuclear reactor with all these like all this responsibility in the South China Sea, like giving power to an aircraft carrier. And I'm thinking back to my 16-year-old self that said yes to playing college soccer at the Naval Academy. And I'm like, wow, that kid had no idea what he was saying yes to.
Right. That's a big domino. That's like,
just
down the line from that.
Such a domino. And now I'm like in my 30s, and now I'm pursuing a world of creativity. And I'm like, it's all a domino effect. And now I'm walking down the coast 90 miles, and you know, I'm like,
plenty of time to think about all of it.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, how did we get here? It's amazing how we get to the places we get to.
Right.
And there's definitely moments in my life along the whole journey where I think everybody does a question like, did I make the right decisions? Because like, I don't know, there's always a striving to be, to either like, to expand and to like go beyond where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of desiring to be at the next chapter. It's hard to be patient, you know, like I'm really happy where I am.
Yeah.
But like when I was in the Navy and I knew that I really wanted to be making music more and like spending more time with that, I was like, well, can we just fast forward and like, you know, but there was just years and years and years of patience and spending time working on my own craft of songwriting, because you don't need anybody's permission to work on your own craft.
Right.
And so it was a lot of time with just by myself working on it, trusting that like, just be patient someday.
Yeah.
You'll have time where all this work where you have time by yourself and nobody's going to be coming, commenting on what you're doing. So just work on yourself.
I think that athletes, make a smooth transition a lot of times into creative ventures because of that, especially if there's some aspect of, like trying to get recruited to play college somewhere. Because really that's like the mountaintop goal for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's maybe the first mountaintop goal if you're trying to play professionally.
Yes.
Is to get a scholarship to play at a good college is like the thing pretty much the whole time that you're growing up.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I remember
it's enormous. That's like
huge.
I actually haven't put myself back in those steps before, but it was like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Some of the most thrilling times in a life of somebody who strives for
sure.
It's like, yeah, it's like making it to the World Cup or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's like, and it's also for a long time pretty far out. Like I remember, one of my favorite memories growing up when I was a kid is we had this 2-story house, and the kind of like when I look back and like take myself through a mental tour of it now, I'm like, who the fuck built this house? But it was, the living room was like the super open, like echoey kind of thing. But my parents had put these like surround sound speakers kind of next to like this like staircase kind of thing. So it really, like, it sounded great in there, even though it was real echoey.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things ever is when my mom would go to work during the summer, my dad was a teacher. So him and I would just get to hang, and we were like, oh, let's go. And we would play NCAA football, and he would just crank the surround sound so it sounded like we were in a stadium. And I'm sitting there daydreaming about like, one day I'm going to play for Boise State. I'm going to do this. And even at that point, I think that like embedded in that is go get a college scholarship to play football somewhere. And I think that what you were talking about earlier with doing all of this work behind the scenes, I think that athletes are accustomed or even like groomed to be like, okay, from the time that you're in junior high and people start talking to you about when you're going to go to college and what you're going to do, between 7th grade and the time you graduate, that's 5 years where it's like you're doing off season or after school workouts. Maybe you do travel ball, maybe you go to an academy, maybe you do all of these things in the pursuit of one goal that's really far away. Yeah. And I think that to me, it seems like there's a parallel there between people who are in athletics and then people who go to creative ventures, where it's like you just do the work behind the scenes, and at some point, maybe it'll pay off.
Yeah. What's great about the athletics too, as you're talking about that, is that like you're tracking the people that are older than you. Like, you know the names of the people that are a year ahead of you, 2 years ahead of 3 years ahead of you. You know the stories and the lore of the people who had even further out that you may have not seen play, but you know their names and stuff. Yeah. And you kind of understand that you're part of this, like, you're part of this tradition, and like you kind of know where you're at. And with athletics too, it's like, it's a lot more like black and white too.
Right.
It's like,
you got the offer, you didn't
get the offer. Yeah. It's like, this guy a year older than me, when he was my age, he scored 6 times more goals in the season than me. Right. Like that's
numbers don't lie, dude.
Yeah. Numbers don't lie. Like that guy was a better goal scorer than me. Like, so you're kind of like, there's a lot of embedded humility in that actually as well, right, too, because you can't really lie to yourself as much. With sometimes in creative aspects, things are a lot more like abstract and stuff. It's harder to figure out where to put yourself.
The ranking order is a bit more subjective.
So much, which is a beautiful thing. But there's also beauty in competition, and just like feeling there's a beauty in like feeling that the excitement of trying to like reach somebody that you really admire, like to see someone doing something really amazing and then be like, I think maybe if I work really hard, I might be able to be on the team, or maybe I make the team, and maybe I might even be able to make it onto the field, and maybe I might participate in these like kind of like really amazing moments on the field and stuff like that. And it's really thrilling. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? We're taking a quick pause from the show to ask one small favor. When we were looking at the stats of the show, we noticed that most of the people that listen consistently actually aren't subscribed to the show yet. So the one ask that we have today is if you could take 10 seconds and whatever platform you're listening on right now, head over to our page and hit the subscribe button, and it would be a huge help for us. Growing our subscribers helps us bring on more awesome guests, and it really helps us build a community of people like you that we're trying to foster with this thing. So that's the one ask that we have. Please go hit that subscribe button, and let's get back to the show. You mentioned a couple times throughout, like, kind of like taking us through that 30,000 foot view of like your trajectory to getting here, that the word like identity kept popping back up. Um, Talk to me about your relationship with that like identity piece as you were growing up, because I think that that's something that I really had to contend with when I was coming out of sports, and it was the first time that I realized how much of my identity I was placing in the things that I did and maybe not who I was.
Yeah.
And I'm curious why identity feels like such a big piece that's like been weaved through your story.
I think I grew up in a bit of like I've always felt like a strange kid
Okay.
growing up, and probably because I was a strange kind of kid. I was homeschooled for a lot of my childhood,
Okay.
and so like
With your brothers?
immediately, yeah, immediately that's homeschooling is like not as hip as it is now.
Right.
Back then, it was not like I didn't. It was not cool. I don't know. I think it's a little bit more cool now.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like my dad was Japanese. My dad is Japanese.
Yeah, right.
You don't
Back in the day.
you don't grow out of
Yeah.
Japanese. In case if anybody's wondering, still Japanese. Yeah, and there's just like a lot of things in growing up where I definitely felt a little bit different, and then I went to the Naval Academy, which also felt like kind of like really like a weird thing to do.
Right.
And but I also came like because my family I had a really loving family growing up, and it was my like wonderful parents, like really loving, wonderfully parents. And so our family was so cohesive because there were like 5 of us. It's got a tribe.
Yeah.
And then so I don't know. I think there was just like embedded in the way I grew up was a deep feeling of like I am one of the Shiiba, kids.
Interesting.
And we're kind of like weird. We're kind of like a little bit strange. And I think I still feel like I'm a little strange, but I feel like I learned how to be comfortable with it.
Right.
That's
what I was thinking of is did that identity feel like something that was, I don't want to say given, but did that feel like something that was like baked in, or something that you felt like you had to chase and like earn in a way?
I think in certain aspects of my identity, I feel like it was baked in. Other things I feel like I earned through a lot of hard work. Like I found an identity in the world of soccer.
Yeah.
And that was through a lot of hard work, really, like a lot of and like even in the world of soccer, I was kind of like a bit of an outsider.
Okay.
Because it took me a while to get to like people can't understand the hierarchy of the athletic teams and clubs and stuff, and it took me like it took me a while to get to the teams that were like, oh, these are the best teams in the state type of thing.
Right.
Because we were homeschooled, and my mom was like, we're not as young age, like we're gonna play in the local teams, and it just took me a while to even get good enough to make a team that was serious, and then that where you could, when you strive for things and then you like make it, I feel like that is when your identity is just like you start to really latch on to that, because you know that how much work that took to get there. And I feel like that the identity cements through a lot of hard, like going through a gauntlet of something. Right. And yeah, I think I learned so much from thinking about it now. I haven't thought about this in a while, but through the world of athletics,
yeah,
it's taught me a lot. And I don't relate to being a soccer player as much anymore.
Yeah, same.
I don't walk around being like, I'm a soccer player.
Right.
Yeah. I think that would be unhealthy and weird. Right. But I think even in the world of creativity, I think I'm still struggling to really like root myself in the identity of being an artist.
Right.
Because I almost like reference back my other journeys. Because I feel like I've gone through my childhood, my teenage years, and in college of like working really hard for this athletic thing. And then I was in the Navy, and then there's like this whole other thing,
Right.
studying nuclear engineering. And then it's like, now I'm totally in this, but like, I know that this journey is full of ups and downs and valleys, and really getting your identity in it being kind of like cemented through really, through commitment to the thing. And, I'm realizing I didn't quite answer your question very well at all.
Yeah, no, that's all right. The thing that I was interested in when I was asking, my original question was like, if you felt like the identity thing was like baked in as like,
Yeah.
I'm one of the Shiibas, I'm this, I'm that, because I felt like, in a lot of ways, I used sports in my life growing up as, almost like a way to like crowdsource my identity, where I was like, instead of me figuring out who I am and all of these things, it's really easy for me to just be the quarterback.
100%.
And instead of me having to go and find friends that are based on like who I am and things I'm interested in, way easier to just like be friends with football players or do this and that. So I think that, you know, I realized it when I was in college, and we had this tradition called the senior burn, where before the last home game of the season, we'd have this big bonfire. Seniors would bring stuff that like had sentimental value, and they'd throw it in this fire as like you know, sign of passing the torch and doing all this other shit. But what I heard like year after year when I went to this thing was some guys who were like, I just don't know what I'm going to do after football. And I was just like, I mean, brother, it was clear you weren't going to go to the NFL. So what have we been planning on this whole time now that you're a week out from being done with this thing? So it was like my freshman year where I really was like, okay, I don't want to do that. And I started realizing, I'm like, okay, my whole life I've been able to lean on being the football player, being the quarterback, the wrestler, the this and that. And I started realizing at that time, I was like, okay, this has been something that I can identify with because I put so much work into it. It is most of my social circle and blah, blah, blah. But at some point, there's going to come a hard question where it's like, with this thing removed, what happens when you're not Drew the quarterback, but you're just Drew now? Right? And it sounds like you've had the reason I think I was trying to drill into that is because you've had such dramatic shifts from the athlete to, you know, the Naval Academy is a huge accomplishment. You know, I feel like you've had a couple of these really big shifts in identity.
I think that there's, and looking back, I think we were talking about before this a little bit about that, like this like whisper, the kind of the subtle knowing about your inner self that, looking back, I kind of always knew. I was always aware of it. And I think I was always exploring this like aspect of like an artist or someone who creates and who tries to make things that weren't there before, or tries to, I was doing it with writing songs for even when I was in middle school, and all the way through all my life, even through all my life, really, I've never stopped. But it was like there is like, even as my identities through, like there was a time where I was the soccer player and everybody knew me as the soccer player. Like even then I was still like what is this other thing that's going on?
Oh, interesting.
And I would find some like this is not disassociation, but a feeling of like, everybody's calling me this, but I'm also like kind of aware that something else is going on here. And I'm exploring and finding something that's true about myself in this. And so when that other thing died away and a new thing was born of like, oh, now he's not a soccer player. Now he's just like a division officer in the Navy. He's the guy who is working on nuclear reactors in the Navy or something like that. It's like, well, this other thing still is a bit, this quiet whisper is still here. And I'm continuing to like unravel and find a lot of like comfort in exploring this aspect of me that I can still do it by myself and through music and songwriting and stuff like that. And so as I was going through all these deaths and rebirths of identities that were placed on me from the outside world, I think there was this like through line that has given me a lot of like stability. Like
that's so cool.
Yeah, I've never had like an identity crisis. I think because I've I've paid attention to the whisper through my whole life.
That whisper is, I wrote it down in my notes as we were talking, and I think it's fascinating. You said creativity starts as a whisper.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious for you when the first time that you heard that whisper was, and what it sounded like.
Wow, that's such a good question. There's been moments like there's been really like almost like yeah, there's been definitely like moments where I've had these like experiences that have been definitive, but those were almost like whispers that have like almost had moments of just shouting, like just like a whisper that was like, like,
Yeah. Hey, dude.
hey, yes, hey,
Still here.
and then you go, whoa,
Right.
that whisper was like real, like because a whisper you're like, is that just the wind, or is that just my mind playing tricks on me?
Yeah.
Or am I just deceiving myself? But when the whisper like shouts, then you go, whoa, no, that's the same voice.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh no, and then it goes back to a whisper. But so I can think of moments of like that when the whisper speaks out, but the knowing of the whisper of just like there's what, maybe I think it was like when moments when I was drawn so deeply to another artist or other pieces of art, and then like observing how other people are like perceiving it,
Right.
and like noticing that maybe like how I'm receiving this might be a little bit different than they're receiving this.
Yeah.
And then having this like just like a confidence that like I'm going to go, then I can do that as well. Like almost like a resonance of like, specific for me, when I heard Jack Johnson's music, there was something that happened inside of me that like resonated so deeply with what he was doing artistically.
Okay.
That I like it awoke something in me.
Whoa.
That that I was like, oh, I know now there's something. It's like it is a whisper, like, but it's like, it's so, there's like, it's like just a resonance. There's a certain amount of resonance that happens when you have an experience with something.
Yeah.
It's like ineffable. Like you're not going to be able to describe it, but there's just like this connection of like, no, this thing is like really, this thing changed the trajectory of my life.
Right.
And then it's just like this quiet, like coming back to a thing.
Yeah.
It's like when I thinking about as a kid, when I heard Jack Johnson, and I was like, oh, and I'm going to get a guitar. And now I'm going to like, after school, I'm going to go open up the YouTube videos of him playing and like see how he plays guitar. And then the next day I'm going to do the same thing.
Did it feel like at that point, it's almost like effortless, where it's just like, oh, this is just the thing to do?
I guess so.
Because I think like I know this trip, for example, in California, right?
Yeah.
I think I talked to my dad about it, and he's like, wow, you're doing this thing. You're going to California. You're meeting all these people out there. Like, that's amazing. And it takes a lot for me to put myself in his shoes and be like, oh, wow, yeah, that is
pretty amazing.
But for me, it's like,
it's just what I do.
Yeah. And not even like on a downplaying it kind of thing. But it seems like, because don't get me wrong, I think it's fucking great. I'm really enjoying it. But it doesn't seem like there's really an option not to. Like, it's like, this is the thing that's in front of me. And yes, it is out of the normal what we usually do. And it's very cool. And it feels like the thing that I'm just like, it's in front of me, I'm going to do it. And it feels like there's no friction there.
Yeah.
It just seems like the path that is like path of least resistance.
Yes.
This just happens to be a really cool thing that's on it. And so when you're hearing Jack Johnson for the first time, what's going through your mind there, where it's like, okay, I'm going to go get a guitar?
Oh, man, I wish I understood this more. My guess is that we learn who we are along the way, and there are experiences that we have and other people that inspire us that bring that to our consciousness and awaken things in us so that we can have a better awareness of what our destiny is or what we're called to do. And so, and I think a lot of it's not like in the like it's not heady. Like, you know, when I was a kid and I heard Jack Johnson's music, it's not like, now I understand. It's like, right. Now I got
this is
it.
What I'm here to do with my life. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. I get it now. I just go and learn what he's doing and practice the art of songwriting and really immerse myself in this. And then they'll set me on a whole path where I'll just do it for 10 years by myself while I'm playing soccer and in the Navy. And then when I get out at the age of 28, 10 years from now,
then I'm going to full send it.
Then I'll full send it. And because I've been doing it for so long, because I've been, because I got inspired by it. And like, I think that there's like an awareness, our subconscious is, our intuitive selves, so much more wisdom than our conscious minds. And I don't some of these things are mysterious, like the unfoldings of our journey are very mysterious to me.
Yeah. What are some of the shouts that you've experienced along your journey that has kept music as the thing that you've like held on to as this like almost like this like idol? That had just always been present through your journey.
Like one of the first times I played music in front of other people and to feel what that experience is like, that awoken something that was like a wild thing to be able to play music for other people. And what
was the first time like?
Well, I remember when I think even now, first time is I don't know. I don't want to commit to it. Like this was the first time I ever played in front of strangers. Right. But I do because I feel like there's certain even now, like there's different types of performance.
Right.
Like
how do you define this?
If I picked up a guitar right now and played it, like that would be different if I was busking in the street versus I was playing a show and people were sitting there with lights on me. Like there's different like architectures of performance, I think. But the one, like this intimate thing of where I'm like I'm in an intimate environment playing music for strangers. I remember the first time that happened, and it was like, on a youth, what was it, like a church camp or something that my mom made me go on, and like she threw me a guitar on the butt. Like it was so embarrassing. Like
Oh no! Are you like sitting on the bus? And
I'm sitting on the bus and she brings a guitar. I'm like, oh no, this is worst case scenario.
Walk me through this. Are you like leaving for camp?
Exactly, and it was in the moment. It's really tough, but it changed it led to me then playing in front of people at this camp in a hallway, and that awoken. That was the first time I think that I really played for people in an intimate setting to strangers that didn't know I played music.
How did it end up where you ended up playing for them? Was it like, hey, do it? Or was it like...
I think there were some like girls that were like, hey, like, oh, so you had a guitar, can you play it? And then there was like, I remember there was like a girl's room and a guy's room that were sleeping in classrooms in a DC like middle school or something.
Oh, dang.
And I was like, I'm not going to do that. And I think I was like put up a fight, obviously, as any reasonable person would do. Then I remember like having to take my guitar. I was like, well, I want to just do it in private in the schoolroom. But then I was like, I had to, because they weren't allowed in the guy's room, and then like classroom, and I'd take it into the hallway. And I remember playing Hallelujah by Jeff Buckley or by Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
And
that's a hell of a one to bust out for your first one.
Oh, yeah, that song still messes me up. Yeah, that song is, that's one of the songs that have sent me on my way of being a songwriter, and still calls me to be an even better songwriter. And I feel like I'm reaching for something that is like that every time I try to write a song.
What was it like the feeling going from putting up the fight of playing that song to what you felt afterwards, after it was said and done?
It's what's funny is like I remember laying on the floor of the classroom later that night, looking up at the ceiling and almost like feeling my it was almost like the like almost like the atoms in my body were rearranged. Like I could feel that something had happened inside of me that was like it's almost it's I think back to this feeling often. It was almost like a metamorphosis, like
Wow.
of a shifting of what an awareness where maybe that whisper became like a hum, like it was just like a steady hum in my life at that from that point on. I'm working on trying to flush that actually experience out in my own understanding through I'm working on like writing stories and trying to really understand
Yeah.
my own path, but that's definitely I'm working on trying to flesh what that was.
That seems like a big bullet point on the timeline for.
Definitely is. Yeah. There are others too, but that's early on. That's like early on.
Right.
That like, I think sustained this like a commitment to, showing up often to write songs and to work on this thing when it's not like I was like, oh yeah, in a year, like I was committed to play soccer at the Naval Academy. Then I had this whole journey. Like even looking back, I'm like quite amazed. I'm great. I'm proud of my younger self. I don't know if you have moments when you're like, you think back to your younger self and you're like, man, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you that you showed up when nobody else was looking. And and I almost marvel at it sometimes about like.
Tell me more about that, because I almost always go backwards, where instead of me now looking and being proud of my younger self, I feel like I find myself in a lot more thought exercises when I put myself in the position of my younger self looking at me now.
Oh, interesting. The other way.
Right. And so I'm
You're
curious.
like, I'm so like, you're so cool type of thing.
Kind of, yeah, because back to what we were saying earlier, like there are certain things that feel like they're just supposed to happen, and you just like, this trip, for example, is like, yep, the opportunity's there, we take it. Make sure that you get your guest research done, you have great conversations, you do whatever, and then it's not until I can put myself in my 16-year-old shoes sometimes and be like, if I told that kid right now, if he got to look at this, he'd be like,
oh man,
shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm curious for you, like
that could almost bring me to tears thinking about from that perspective, from the younger kid into your older stuff. Actually, when I was preparing to sing my first song, I think on The Voice, when I was preparing to sing on a singing show, which when I was a kid, like I feel like when I was a kid, American Idol just came out. It's like a singing show.
And it's popping.
And that was revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that changed culture in some ways. And that was, I mean, it's not the same as it was back then, but as a kid, so that's how I experienced being on a singing show. And so when I was like preparing, like I was like, I'm going to somehow gotten to this point where I'm doing this now somehow. And like, I am happy that I had this intuition, but like what I did is I made a playlist of all the songs I was listening to when I was a kid.
Wow.
And I just like listened to the music that I was listening to when I was a kid. And I was just like trying to go back as emotionally like in my heart as I could, from the perspective of like, remember what it was like to be a kid
watching American Idol
and having those soft, subtle dreams that you knew were unrealistic. That like, man, that would be so cool to be up on stage singing. That would be so cool. And like to be able to snap. And then now here you are.
Yeah.
Doing somehow through some absolute unbelievable chain of events.
Mm-hmm.
Here you are now doing the thing. And it's like to be able to go live life, like even to doing this podcast, like to be sitting here from that perspective versus all the logistical things that actually have to get done to lead you to this moment. Like you got to set up all these cameras, you got to travel, you got to plan got to make sure everything's working right. These microphones, you got logistics, communicating. I mean, it's just like you could get flooded with the onslaught of keeping your life afloat.
Right.
But then, like, man, if you can snap into that, to your younger self, man, it's just magical.
I'm curious,
magical.
So I can get a better understanding of it. What are some of the moments that you look backwards on and say like, wow, I'm proud of my younger self?
I think about like when I was at the Naval Academy and I walked around town just like in Annapolis, Maryland, and be like, hey, can I play music at your bar on Sundays? And just like walked around town until someone said yes. I think about like that, and then I think about like me carrying all my equipment from my dorm room all the way out to the bar out in town, like 2 miles or something, just like a camel, like hauling my whole PA and my guitar and like all my stuff in one trip because it was way too long to go back and forth, and showing up with like my hand just like absolutely like stuck in a position and sweating. And like, I think about moments like that. I think about like being at a gig in college and showing up and nobody's there. And then like, I think about like a moment where like I'm playing in a basement and like the only person there is my brother who shows up. And I think about like on weekends at the Naval Academy, instead of like going out, just staying in my dorm room and like writing songs. Think about like sneaking out of the Naval Academy on weekends, like to go record some music with some producer that I reached out to. I think about like going while I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, studying nuclear engineering and like doing 12-hour shifts, getting off of shift and like going to work on recording music because I was like, I need to record some music, and like staying up like for almost 24 hours straight to like after being on a submarine recording music. I think of like applying, even having the courage to apply to a singing show because like it's so unlikely.
Yeah.
Even if you're amazing, it's just so unlikely. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many things along the journey where I like look back, I'm like, that's a crazy thing to do. Like it really is a crazy thing to do. And I don't know if I would have the courage to do that now even.
Interesting.
And yeah, I think that I feel proud when I like think about them now and I go, that would be tough. Like,
yeah, like if you had to go back to that basement,
yeah, that would be tough. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, and I think about like, how did I have that much determination to do that?
Right.
Even like now, I'm like, how did I know to like do that? I don't know what was driving me. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's cool to be in a spot now where you can look back on that and go like, yo,
yeah,
crazy that I was able to continue doing that to a point where now this is what I'm doing full time.
Yeah. And there's it is amazing. I feel so grateful to my younger self for a lot of things, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel so grateful for a lot of people. Like the thing too that really messed me up, like when I think about it, is like the people that like really helped me out along the way.
Mm-hmm.
That like they like didn't really need to.
Yeah.
You know? That's the thing that's like, man, like, yeah, it's really, really moving. Because like that whisper that's in you have a relationship with it, like other people they don't experience the whisper, you know? So
what do you mean by that?
It's like I have like a relationship with this like kind of, you know, in the moments of silence in your life and in the moments when you're experiencing something that really inspires you, like I feel like maybe that's the thing that keeps you going. But other people that come along and help you along the way, the people that you needed to continue on,
mm-hmm.
like they don't experience that. So I'm like, well, you know, I'm so like moved to think about the time, like people that have helped me, you know, like even like, yeah, I'm just thinking about like the fact that my brother showed up, you know, when nobody else was there, like, or people that like have really supported me, like even like Emily being really kind to me. Like I met her very shortly out of getting out of the Navy, and she'd been doing this for a lot longer than I had been. I didn't really know anybody, and she's been really, really kind to me. You know, there are people that have been really kind to me. I mean, there's been like a lot of people that have been really, really kind to me that have made my journey in the creative world so fruitful,
Yeah,
and beautiful.
I think that's one of the things that's it's really rewarding part of the journey, but it's also one that's hard to like count on in the moment, I feel like, because I think that part of being somebody who's striving for stuff and like really going for it, a lot of the times it's like, for me anyways, it's hard to remember how rewarding it is for people to help you out with
Sure,
things,
yeah,
right? So like,
yeah,
because I mean, I've been in positions before where I've been able to see somebody who's younger than me or somebody who's on a similar path and help them out with like one or two things where I'm like, dude, if somebody would have helped me, it would have saved me a year. And
yeah,
every time I get to do that, I'm like, oh
yeah,
man, that
yeah,
felt so good.
yeah.
But I forget sometimes when I'm on my own journey that I am gonna need people, and sometimes I just can't do all of it.
Yeah.
And for me to like get out of my comfort zone and like ask for help.
Yeah.
But,
So hard to
but
do.
remember that it's like there is something in it for the other person too at times.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
and it's
totally.
like allow them to be a positive character in your story and for them to get like the internal reward of being like, I got to help Mark during this time.
Yeah.
And now look at his career. Like that feels good.
Yeah.
It's like you got to help plant this beautiful tree that's like doing its thing now.
Yeah.
It feels great to be a part of that.
Totally. Yeah. Actually, my drive to be successful, like from a kind of a worldly perspective, like a way that people can point at and go like, oh,
yeah,
he's successful. I think at this point in my life, it's like mostly driven from like wanting to have other people feel like I'm really like I helped him, like he's successful because I helped him.
Interesting.
Because, like I don't want to let people down, you know, people that like, not in like a negative. I don't feel like it's like, oh, I'm like, I feel like guilty if I let people down.
Right.
It's just like I feel a lot of love for the people that like have helped me.
It's like a way to give back in a way.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to like let all their generosity, you know, perish, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm getting into my feels thinking about all the people that it's such a long road, you know. Life is such a long road, and the creative journey that you choose to go on. It's like it really is it's such a long journey, and yeah, the people that show up along the way, kind of like miraculously, you know, you would have never scripted it that way, and you're like, man, I'm so grateful that like I get to do this with you, and
right,
yeah.
I'm curious for you. There's one of the things that I noticed about your story is that it seems like there's a lot of pursuits that you've been in that are like somewhat rigid structures or maybe formal structures. Where like growing up as an athlete, there's certain seasons for things and there's like very specific goals and stats and this time that you need to get a scholarship by and blah, blah, blah. And then going that into the Navy where it's like that on steroids. We were talking off mic that my buddy went to the Naval Academy. And one of the things that he told me when I saw him in Denver last year was he was like, dude, I know what the next 20 years of my life are going to look like.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, there are times where I envy you where you're like, you have you don't know what it's going to look like. He's like, that's fucking awesome. And I'm like, brother, there are so many days where I'm like, if I could just know when all the things that I'm hoping are going to happen, like you can see that. Yeah. So we're doing that like Spider-Man meme where we're like pointing at each other. But what I'm very curious about in your story is like, you've been through these rigid structures where there's metrics and objectives and KPIs and like marks that you have to hit. And now you've made this shift into music and being a full-time creative where that world is so subjective and structureless by comparison. So I'm curious, like, what's it like going through that shift?
It's dramatic. It's like, it's a big shift, huge shift. And I have so much respect for people that figure this world of ambiguity out and find clarity and a path for themselves, because it is there is a lot of the uncertainty will bring great people to their knees. And I feel like I'm pretty good at like suffering. Like I'm decent at suffering, where I'm like, okay, yeah, I can just keep running. If I just keep running, just keep doing the same thing, just stay on the path and just suck it up, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten, as an athlete, that's part of the, that's part of the gig.
Yeah.
But with this, it's different, because you're like, it's like you're on the road, just huffing and puffing, feeling like absolute trash. And at the same time, you're like, am I on the right road?
Right. Dude.
Would it actually be better if I just sat on the curb for like a little while and just chilled out? Like,
Right.
would that actually be better? And you have to, should I go back? Should I literally just walk back, and, should I make a left? There's all this like,
Do I start jogging?
If
I get there, if I jog, maybe I'll know sooner.
Yeah. Do I just need to
if
go a
I'm on the
little
right road.
further?
Yeah.
Like all these questions are real questions
Right.
that need to be like kind of contended with.
And there's nobody there. There's not a higher up. There's not a boss, a manager to tell you that you're on the right road.
Yeah, and you can't really go and find you're like, let me just get a hold of this person. They'll tell me. Like, let me go get the Wizard of Oz. Let's just get to, let's get to Emerald Palace, and then we'll ask the Wizard of Oz, and then he'll tell me, and that'll be good.
Right. How do you contend with that?
I think like faith that it's all going to be okay, and that whatever's supposed to be will happen, and that I don't really get to decide. Kind of just like on a ride of life, and accept the beautiful things that come, and the beautiful things that are created, and the people that I cross paths with along the journey, and try to be as grateful for as much as possible. And I think having the faith aspect of being like believing that responding to life, like, I don't know, there's certain things that I believe that I hold on to, that I'm like, if I respond to life rather than try to tell life how it's going to be, that like that is a more beautiful path.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to prove that. There's no scientist that's going to prove that, but I just kind of have a faith that is true.
Right. We talked a little bit before we got started about finding yourself in the trenches, like in the really difficult moments. And faith is something that, to be quite honest, I've struggled with for a really long time. I grew up in I would just say non-religious household. And so I would say the extent of my spirituality for a long time was like, we don't know. So it kind of came down to like the whole carpe diem idea. It's like, you don't know, and that's okay. But what you do know is you've got the present moment right now.
Yeah.
And and at some point that's going to be taken away. So like, dude, ride this thing until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Be the absolute best person you can, and try to enjoy this as much as possible. And when it's all said and done, like, if that's your best, awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found though is like throughout my journey, I found myself like white knuckling my way into most things.
Yeah.
I was like trying so hard to get a college scholarship to football, and then trying so hard to finally start a business, trying so hard to be successful. And like, really, like, it has felt like much of my life has been this push towards like something, but it hasn't felt, until I found podcasting, which is another thing, but it hasn't felt in many ways like a pull towards anything. It's just been like, I guess that's the goal. Like, even though we're walking through mud right now, like, we're going to do our best to sprint here. About, I don't know, getting close to a year ago now, I started like really opening myself up to the idea of like faith, and like dove pretty heavily into like spirituality and some things like that. And I think a big reason for it was that trust and that faith that you're talking about, because I've found myself so often like looking myself in the mirror and being like, okay, dude, seems like we've been working really hard, and we've like the whole way kind of thought that we knew what we were doing, But can you really look at yourself in the mirror right now and be like, yep, I was right every time? And like, definitely this was all me that got me here.
Yeah.
Answer is like unequivocally no to both answers. And so like one of the things that I've found is that having that faith has been, and working on that has been so helpful to notice myself in moments being like, I'm just going to trust here. I don't have to white knuckle I don't have to try to determine what the right thing is here and force that outcome because it's what I think is right.
Yeah.
What I've found though, and what I'm curious has been like present on your journey, is I find that faith is really easy to have when things are going well. When something good happens, I'm like, oh, God must think that that's the right thing. The universe must be putting this in my path. However, when things are really bad, when there's a relationship that goes sideways, when I lose a friend, when something goes sideways in the business world, it's hard in those moments to be like, and this is also that thing. This is also something that I need to have faith that is putting me on the right path.
Right.
So tying all of that together, how in those moments that you're in the trenches, do you maintain that faith and trust that it's either putting you or keeping you on the right path?
I think that a lot of my experience has been defined by like as a kid, family and the relationship and my connection to my family, and then like friends, and then going to the Naval Academy, like a lot of like a new family that was kind of born out of that, and being an athlete and like really close friends, and then now I so many beautiful friends and relationships, and like the relationship thing for me, I think in those, when I'm in the trenches or it feels like I'm really in the trenches, like to find a place of solitude and like peace in relationships has allowed those moments of like when things get really are tough and you're like struggling. It's like when you retreat to these like, when you retreat to like a connection with another human being, like it feels like you can almost take a deep breath and go like, it's going to be okay. Like even if this is not like, even if this is not going to be okay,
right? Like
it's for some reason it's okay because I'm here with you, going through it, and like, and I think that almost transcends all challenges, because like I think about like some of the toughest moments of my life, like when I lost my mom to cancer, and going through like losing your mother, I think probably some of the hardest things to go through that for most people. It's like the love of a mother is the most precious thing in the world. So when you lose that, it's like so disorienting. But like it's going through that, it's like you're kind of like enveloped by the love of family and friends, and that's like somehow it's like it's going to be okay somehow, because I have this like, I still feel the love of even something that's lost through these relationships that are so beautiful. I think even in athletic challenges, like if you go to an athletic challenge and you lose a game and it's tragic and you're like, man, this is our senior year and we worked our whole lives, and like we all were, you lose it and you're like devastated, but it's like somehow you're there with all the people you love that you work so hard with, that you work with all these people to try to win this thing, and you lose, but you lose together. And for some reason, there's just like there's this certain amount of like tranquility. And I think there's a certain amount of like faith that's born out of that connection to the relationships that you have.
Yeah. So instead of like staring at the ceiling, having faith and being like, somehow I'm just going to tell myself this is on the right path. It's going to be okay. Like finding solace and getting around other people and
being around other
having
people
it that way.
Yeah.
I've kind of been workshopping this idea for around a year now, and I haven't quite found a way that it's like really felt sticky for me yet. But the idea is that people are the best thing in life in the best times and in the worst times. And what I've found is that I was going through a really hard time, and I was really leaning heavily on my people, my friends, my family, and was like spending a decent amount of time like just in like these really deep conversations about life and about some of the stuff I was going through. And I I realized in those times I was like, wow, if it wasn't for these people and me just being on my own for this, like, thank goodness I've got them to lean
Yeah.
on, because I literally can't imagine what this would have been like without them.
Yeah.
And then I also think about, like, in that moment, I also thought about, well, when this is all over, I don't want to let that go,
Yeah.
because these people are like, when I'm on the other side of this and I'm having these big mountaintop moments, or I'm having success or things worth celebrating, I also want them there in that moment. And those moments become significantly more special
Because you're
with that same person being there. So I'm like, if in the very worst of times, your people are the ones that help you through it, and in the very best of times, those same people are the ones that make those extra special. To me, it seems like it's not as much about how good or bad of a time there is.
Yeah, it's just that you're
People is the
people.
focus.
You just have the people.
That's the one constant.
Yeah.
So that I think that almost ties into what you're saying with like people almost being a constant within faith as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think so. I think that like the things that a lot of things that you like need them like can't be proven, like where you need faith, can be experienced through relationship. And so like you don't need to work it out in your head. You just like feel it. And that's that's the stuff that fills up the gas tank anyway. Like your head doesn't fill up the gas tank, your heart does. And so you don't need to understand it. And I think that just like pattern recognition, that like, hey, when I'm around these people, I feel good, and I feel at peace, and I feel safe, and I feel seen. And for some reason, this is really tough, but for some reason as well, like I feel like it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's beautiful. The heart doesn't fill up the gas tank, or the head doesn't fill up the gas tank. The heart does.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I'm a really heady guy. Like I enjoy trying to work out. Like in another life, maybe I would have been a philosopher, like a pretty bad one. But like in another life, I'd be like a bad philosopher, because I enjoy it. Like I find like it. I just find it fun. I find it fun. But then eventually gets to like asking your question of like, how much gets achieved through the head? Like when I try to look at my life and I'm like, how much did I actually achieve through this activity? And I think it's basically it's like logistics, like keeping yourself alive, like making sure your heart's still beating, your bank account's still full, and that you're at the places that you need to be at on time. And I think it ends pretty shortly after that. And what it means to be human is obviously so much more beyond that. So much more beyond that. Those are necessary, but it's so much more beyond that. And I think I definitely have lived in moments of my life where I kind of convince myself that like, oh, if I just work it all out, if I just work it all out, just keep working out more information, more nuanced modeling in my head of reality. And some of that is useful, and it can be useful, but like if you kind of have a perspective of life that like, number one, you didn't choose to enter in this reality. That's kind of something you kind of throw your hands up about. You don't really know when it's going to end. And you don't really know, like you don't get to choose the things that unfold in front of you, really. Like you didn't get to choose who your parents were. You didn't get to choose who your siblings were. You didn't get to choose who your neighbor was. There's so many things that are just on this roller coaster of reality. And it seems like more of like, am I just going to, how do it's like a question of like, how do I respond to this stuff? And your head is not like, your head is like good at controlling things. And like, I don't think, especially in today's world, we're kind of like everything's pushing us to our heads, and it's easy to feel so confused. Like I've just been in moments of my life where I'm like, I'm so confused. I feel like I got it all figured out. Yeah. But yet somehow nothing makes sense.
I spend a lot of my brain power trying to figure things out, but it seems that I've figured nothing out.
You figure nothing out. And I think there's a very palpable difference of when you navigate through life and you're like, I feel great. My energy's good. I enjoy my interactions. I love how I laugh with other people, and I love fooling around, and also I can navigate challenges with a certain amount of like sturdiness.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just feels like a lot of that comes from just being connected to other people and feeling like a certain amount of home in relationships with other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that headiness is something that I've almost exclusively operated on up until like
Yeah,
a year and a
yeah.
half ago. And same kind of thing. Like I feel so maybe bad for some of my roommates over the years who like just heard the constant echo of Alex Hormozy and David Goggins and people who are just like work harder. Here's the bottle. Here's a new framework. Here's a new something. Because I felt like my brain was constantly, just like you said, like, what's the system here? What's the framework? What's the thing that's gonna like be the answer or the like the unlock to get where I'm trying to go? And I think that combined with the work ethic like you were talking about earlier, where it's like just being good at putting your nose to the grindstone, being like, I'll just keep running. I'll just keep going. I'll go until, because survey says growing up an athlete, the harder that you work and the more time that you put in and the more suffering that you go through, the better the perceived outcome is going to be at the end of that thing. And that
it's true.
Yeah.
Kind of.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. I think the combination of those two things for me though was that I would be redlining in my head trying to figure out what the next framework, model, operation thing was going to be. And then that combined with the work ethic where I was like, and I'm going to try to go as fast and far as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Like constant phases of burnout into like retreat from things into burnout and like this crazy volatile seesaw of these things. And I was working with Summer, who's a therapist that I started seeing a while ago. One of the things that she said is she was like, it seems that you have a belief that progress has to be miserable. And that really hit me because I was like, you know, at first I almost took offense to it. I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, the way that you talk about things is that you only move forward when you're in this grind mode. You put your nose to the grindstone and you're like, I'm going to go get this thing. And you shut everything else out in your life to do that. She's like, but at the time I was like, I was crushing it, feeling like I was on cloud nine. I was feeling good and I wasn't in one of those grind modes. She's like, from what you're telling me right now, the podcast is going great. Things are falling into line for the business. Your relationship's cool. Like things are going in the right direction. And so I'm going to challenge that belief by saying that like progress can also have a sense of levity to it. Like progress can also feel good. It doesn't have to feel like shit. And then you get there and it's like, okay, I'm gonna let myself feel good for a moment until this next phase of grinding and getting my thing. And when I'm hearing you talk about like that head versus heart thing, I think that that's where my head put me. Because I was like retreat into my head when I was trying to make progress, and then I'd give myself these brief breaks of coming back down and living in my heart until my brain started to like shout a little bit more and be like, hey dude, but what if we were a little bit further? It seems that you're getting complacent.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, totally. Yeah. It's funny because it does feel like a little silly when you kind of like, when you look at the complexity of reality and the mystery of being, and then it feels a little silly when you reduce it to like a easy little equation.
Right.
You know, you're like, I really thought that this whole thing could be dominated from a little like gimmicky framework. Right. And it's like, just because you can see cases of it working, like, I don't know. I've listened to so many podcasts in my life about like different phases of when I was like getting into like real estate investing, or when I was really getting into this thing, or when I was really getting into that thing. And it was just like so much information. And like it is the thing that I think for me that I'm continuing to learn is that like the and thing, or like whatever, it's not, but it's like not a contradiction, that like things can and do live simultaneously that seemingly are contradictions, but aren't. The reality can hold many things that are contradictory in balance at the same time.
Yeah.
And our minds have hard times computing that reality of like, working really hard and grinding isn't not true now that you're like, it's really important just to like ignore it sometimes and just to respond to beautiful unfoldings in life, and that you need to be spontaneous,
right?
And like to maybe sometimes say no to things that like you need to maybe drink a beer, and hang out and just not work so hard sometimes, and like, and also don't stop grinding.
Yeah.
Like obviously still do that when it's appropriate, and it's just like there's the nuance that really only lands with your life and your path that needs to be worked out. And sometimes you can't just go, oh, well, that other guy did this thing and now I've got to do it. And then he doesn't do, this workout routine, or he doesn't have creative, rigid workflow. So I shouldn't, or like there's so many things where you like look at somebody else that's successful and you're like, oh, I just do what they do and it's going to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's a lot more nuanced with that, and that we're really just all on our own journeys, and we just got to figure it out for whatever makes the most sense for us. And then at the end of the day, like we all die.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like, just remember that and just chill out. Like,
right, for sure. And
just like
chill sometimes.
Chill out, and like, it's okay to like get really like, try to really sit in your humanity and like kind of forget about the chaos of the mechanical aspects of life sometimes, and just like, we don't really have permission very much to like really kind of like sit in the mystery of reality much with the way that the world is set up. We don't have many traditions and like opportunities to enter into that. And I think things get you can lead into conversations or like moments of reflection that seem like you snap out of it. Like, that was kind of like trippy and weird.
Right. Yeah.
But then you're like, is it really that weird to really like sit in the mystery of like that you exist?
Right.
And they don't seem like useful. They're not useful moments of like, even listen to a song. It's not like a useful thing, or like looking at a piece of art, or like looking up at the stars. Like a lot of things that are like human that really like bring you into your humanity. They're not like, can't really be justified by your head, which makes things kind of complicated for when your head's running the show,
for sure.
Things start to get really like,
it's
the
funny.
Equations don't make sense.
Well, what's funny too is even like my analytical heady brain, as you're saying that, is like, but if you look at the stars and then you come back and you were inspired and then you write your next song and that becomes a hit,
exactly,
it was valuable.
Exactly.
But that's only because it's now tied to the metrics of Spotify monthly listeners and all that.
Exactly.
It's like your head takes over and is like, okay, there must be a number or a data point in here somewhere we can measure it, like consider success.
It's like, if you have a really good connection, then you're like, your anxiety goes down, and then you like, and you can measure that actually your heart rate slows down when you're in your community with people, and like science has proven that like when you go look at the stars, actually, that like, it's like,
now your HRV number is so much better.
Exactly. And have you heard about HRV? Actually, it's linked to so many different like great aspects. Depression, is significantly reduced if your HRV is in this certain metric, and like, and it's like, wow, But then, did you hear that we're all die? Did you hear that we all die? Do you remember that?
And all of our HRV goes to
zero.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the coolest things that you said to me is that creativity is a gift, and the way that you explained it is different than I've ever heard it explained before. And so, without trying to regurgitate that and butcher it, what does creativity being a gift mean to you?
This is something that I've discovered recently, but for me, creativity was growing up was a lot of like looking at idols and just wanting to be them. So like, I can harness this creative thing that I find in myself to try to be like somebody else. Yeah. That's a lot driven like that. But more recently, I think I'm I've a lot of it I think was due with an experience of losing my mom to a couple years ago, and then like feeling the healing power of like kind of creating songs and music that were really healing and were like companions on that journey for me. And then like starting to pursue my dream at the age of 28 when I got out of the Navy, and I was like, I need to figure out some real solid ground to stand on as I go out here, because I could be doing other things, you know.
Yeah.
I need to really find firm ground here. And so I just did a lot of exploring, and I started I ended up getting out of the Navy, went on The Voice I just was on a reality TV show very fast, and it was like really exciting.
Was that like right out of the Naval Academy?
Very soon.
Or right after you're done serving?
Right after done serving, very soon after. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like out of the Navy, boom, now this thing, and then recorded a record. And then I was like, it was amazing, and it was so amazing to experience some thrill, like the thrill of creativity. It was amazing, you know. But then it's like, wow, then you kind of steady out into this, like, sit with your life, and you look at this, like, your whole life as a commitment to being a creator and artist your whole life. You know, well, how do I want to paint that with my whole being? And knowing that I had gotten so much out of this ability to create from practicing it my whole life, a lot of my life. So when I really needed it, with like when I was going through grief and stuff, I was like, I think everybody needs art and connection and in the hard times and really tough times. And like I know that I have an ability to create things that are transformational for me. And so I'm like, what if I could do that for other people? And not in the sense of like, even like creating something so that it was beautiful in the sense that it was a great piece of art and other people liked it and they experienced it. But like, what if I actually made something for somebody else? And specifically.
And this was born out of the fact that music was there for you when you needed it.
When I needed it. And it's like when you're writing something for you.
Yeah.
And then you eventually share it with the world. But you didn't make it for the world. You made it for you because you needed it.
Yeah.
And it was a gift to yourself, really, like this aspect of creation, of art, born out of your own experience, is a gift to yourself. And I'm like, what if you could do that for somebody else? And so, yeah, I started a project that I'm like, I don't write at the beginning of it, but it's been really transformational for me, where I write a song for somebody else in particular, not just like a vague general idea of a fictional character. But
tell me more about that, because I think that where people's minds might go right off the rip is like, okay, but maybe that's what a love song is.
Yeah, you write a song absolutely.
Maybe that's writing a song to somebody.
To somebody, yeah. Or
what does it mean for you to write a song for somebody?
It starts with like really trying to see somebody, and really listen to somebody, and that in and of itself is a gift. So I think that can be a love song too. Like when so that also could be a love song to somebody. I really see you and I want to give this thing to you. But I think it's also this aspect of like, I want to be able to, the creation being from the perspective, almost like embodying another human being. Mm-hmm. Like I want to see you so much that I can create something from you, like from your perspective. And the goal with these when I write songs for other people, is that it's both transformational for me and for them, and that there's some sort of like moment of like, understanding of this thing that you lived. You know, I think that there's something beautiful about like I will never know your experience in your life, but there is something that I might know maybe even more than your experience in your life because of I see you, and if I can take that and create something beautiful about it and then give it back to you.
Right.
And if you can see your own experience made by somebody else, then there might be something for you that is surprising to yourself.
Right. Yeah, and it's like healing in two ways. Ways.
Yeah.
I watched the one that you sent me when you put it together, and I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
At the beginning, right? Because it's a hard concept to, I think, put words to.
Yeah, it is.
And what I was so surprised by was remind me what you call the projects again.
I call them song portraits.
The song portraits. So the song portrait that you sent me about the lady who had lost her husband, who was a pilot.
Yeah.
And then put that one together. What I loved about it is like I felt like I was like emotionally invested in this person's marriage, just watching it and like rooting for this couple and this lady, and the way that like the storytelling was done. Even for me, I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
You know, and I was sitting there like, man, I really need to like tell my girlfriend I love her.
Yeah.
You know, and like so there's something for me that I'm like, wow, if I knew that this was like the last time that I was like, that she was going to walk out the door and I'd be like, hey, I love you so much. Like, have a great day. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
How would I say that differently? And so I think you're not only giving that to this person that you're writing it for, but for somebody else too.
Yeah.
But what I love about it is like the understanding that you get from somebody before you make the piece, just that being like the underlying like pretext of the entire project is so cool because you know that whatever that like that end outcome is like, oh, there was a lot of like thought and connection and all that went into this thing.
Yes.
And so you mentioned when we were originally talking about it and you were like telling me about this idea that instead of trying to make a song for 1 million people to listen to it, focusing on having one person appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think that is like leading with the heart and not leading with the head. So I'm curious for you, like, how does it feel different when you're creating these song portraits for somebody who like you get to know their story, you build a song and build a story based on what you understand of them, and then have an audience of one. How does that feel different than the years and years of songs that you've written outside of those projects?
For me, it feels like I can't lose, which like I feel like there's no way I lose.
Yeah.
Which is selfishly like so I feel so secure in it. Like I don't, and I know that like even like I try my hardest to make these beautiful and like to make these songs the best songs I've ever written. Like I've tried my best to make these songs the best.
I think you're accomplishing it, dude.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
The best I can do it. But like I also know that like if I do mess up a little bit, like or like I also know that like it is a gift in and of itself to try this hard to give somebody a gift. Like like, you know, like I spent 2 days sitting down, you know, hours, like we're talking like now, and talking with somebody and really trying to see it's really humbling to spend that much time with somebody and for them to share parts of their life with you as a stranger. And so like, it is a humbling thing, but like, I know that I'm trying my best. And it might not be revolutionary for them. And they might go, oh, that's really cool. Or someone might be like, oh, that's a cool thing. But I know that like at the end of the day, even like when all's said and done, like I will know that I was really trying my best to give what I had been given with my talent and my journey as a gift to somebody else. And for me, it's just kind of like it's a nice check to try to keep my intentions as pure as possible.
Right.
Because like there's no way that this is going to be like wild. It's like, I'm not going to get famous from these things. I'm not going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, but like, if I could really change a couple people's lives,
Right.
And like make a big difference in somebody's life, it's like, that's a huge gift to me. Even like, like that will fill up my tank if someone goes, hey, this really changed my life, or like this really moved me, or thank you so much.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'll take one really heartfelt thank you over a million of like good jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe selfishly, that is what I get out of those projects, is like maybe just one, sincere thank you. And
Damn.
that's fills me up.
Yeah. Yeah, big time. It's interesting to me when you were telling me about how when you create for one person and give that gift to them, it's through a lens of giving.
Yeah.
Whereas creativity being a gift in the traditional sense that we see it, it's like you've been given this gift by God or the universe, where now you're a special being and you get to go have an audience, a platform. You get to go like live like a rock star and do whatever that is. And I think that to me, it totally flipped what creativity is a gift. It goes from like being a gift that you've received to a gift that you're able to give. And it's one that it's like it regenerates every time that you give one out.
It's so abundant. Like, it's so abundant. Like, I totally agree. It's funny because it's almost like it's like a contradiction, because I'm like, oh no, I'm really trying to give this as a gift, and like, I'm not trying to get anything out of this really.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, well, then I actually do get a lot out of this.
Right.
I really am filled up by this, and it excites my spirit, and like, I feel a little more human. Like, I like sit into my humanity, and that's a real gift. Ironically, and then there's this like, maybe, somebody else will see it. Maybe I'll send it to you, and then you go, wow, man, the next time I see my, say goodbye to my girlfriend, like, it's gonna mean a little bit more. Like, I'm gonna mean it a little bit more.
Right.
And maybe that happens, maybe not. But like, maybe you can't really track third order like gifts, but like, even if it's just the two of you,
right.
Well,
even the ripple effect of that too, because then like that goodbye could change her day, which gives her the extra energy to take to be there for somebody else. And that's one of the things that I find so beautiful about creating, is that the thing that you put out into the world, I kind of think that this extrapolates into life a little bit too, but like a lot of times when you create something and release it into the world, I feel like it's like dropping a pebble into a pond, where as a creator, the responsibility that we have is to select the pebble or create the pebble and then drop it in. But everything after that, the waves, the size of the waves, the fish that get disturbed, and then some are eaten, some aren't. Everything that happens after that is so far out of our control. But if you can drop the pebble into the pond and just like trust that the right things are going to happen, like do that with pure intentions. I think that it's a beautiful thing, because just like all waves, like at some point those ripple all the way out, and then
start to come back.
They come back, and they don't come back as strong, and sometimes they come back looking a little different or going a different way. But I think it's really special. Sometimes it's in the form of like one thank you from one person, but I think that that's just, it adds so much fuel to the fire in those trying moments that we were talking about earlier, where it's like, dude, I'm learning a lot about myself right now. Things are tough, but when those do come back and it's like, hey, the thing that you're putting out into the world is making a difference. That to me is like, that's more fuel to the fire than any heavy
like
stuff could get
a
there.
True smile, like a real true smile. When you see a smile and you know that they mean it, it's like, that's worth $1 million.
Yeah.
And that's rare. Like, moments of like real pure connection where you're like, man, there's like, that stuff is like, I think that's where the magic is in this whole thing of art and music and creativity. It's like, wow, could we really look at another human being and like, wow, somehow when I was able to like, here you go, I made this thing, and oh wow, thank you so much. Like that aspect of gift giving and like connecting is like, yeah, I don't think that will ever run dry. That well will never run dry.
No.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you as somebody who's had, we'll just call it success in sports and going to a sought after school and working. I'd imagine that when it's a really cool thing to be able to say, to be like, oh yeah, I'm, oversee this nuclear reactor and I'm a nuclear engineer. As somebody who's had the, I'd just say like boxes checked of like worldly success, things that sound really cool to say at house parties or cocktail parties or when you shake somebody's hand for the first time, going into something like music or something that's creative where it takes a long time to get back to that handshake feeling cool.
Yeah.
And the currency goes from money or clout or whatever the thing is to what we're talking about right now, where it's like the smiles and the like intrinsic rewards. There's a lot of people who I think are afraid to make that jump.
Yeah.
It's the classic golden handcuffs, and it's the thing that keeps a lot of people in pursuits that they don't love because of fear.
Yeah.
So as somebody who has made that jump and who did check the boxes, did the cool things, like had that game won,
Yeah.
what would you say to somebody who's thinking about making that leap, and how have you navigated that?
That's such a good question. I would say that it's important to seek silence because the noise will keep you on the treadmill. There's the distractions and all the subliminal messaging will always convince you to stay with the comfort and this in the known. But in the moments of silence are where like that quiet whisper and that intuition that you have will slowly kind of guide you, and it will lead you into the unknown, and it will convince you to consider things that seem silly by cultural standards of even just framing things in like the reality that, hey, you're not going to live forever. Like, hey, if you do the math, you have plenty of money. Like, or, hey, like maybe you don't need the huge house on the hill. Like these like things that seem silly when you're talking about with your friends or something, at a party. But like silence, I think reveals a lot. And then it's just courage to follow the whisper. The other thing too, though, is like the community, I think, is such a big thing in a practical manner of navigating it, because there's no way it's easy. Like
Sure. Yeah.
It's confusing and it's murky, and you look at the path in front of you, you're like, well, what the heck do I do? Like, what is the first thing I do? There's so much, there's so much challenge along everybody's journey, and finding people that you like trust, and people that you admire, and people that you like, that are doing what you're doing, and that like, so much of it comes down to people, like connection, and then silence, like kind of like having a relationship with both of those things, I think end up being the two left, are the two kind of like guiding forces in trying to find a somewhat peaceful ride along, the inevitably pretty bumpy road.
That's interesting. It's exactly what we were talking about with that 90-mile walk that you did at the beginning.
Yeah.
You're like, there's a lot of you doing your thing by yourself.
Yeah,
and
that's
your community
right.
coming in and fueling you up for a minute.
That's right. Yeah, I think so. I've never thought about that, actually. It's kind of interesting. It's amazing how conversation brings out a certain amount of reflection that you would have never. Thanks for digging that out.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So with where you're at now, we were talking about how you're all in, like this journey. I was
there's no other way for me now. I've reached my third, or kind of like my I mean, I'm still quite young. Hopefully I get to do this for many more years. But it does feel like, well, this is it. I've kind of moved through a couple chapters, and now I'm in this long chapter of sitting further and further into an identity of being an artist. Yeah.
What does that feel like right now?
it's quite daunting.
Is it?
It's really daunting. I think we're talking about like, yeah, you know, you with this podcast, and it's just like you see how early you are on the journey and how much, how many dragons and you know, unforeseen monsters are going to come along the way. You know, not even to mention like, of course, these like tsunamis that are happening, like AI, like AI is a tsunami that is like, we see it coming and it's building, where we're just like, well, is it going to obliterate the whole city, or do we need to go for higher ground now, or can we just like get on top of our roof and just wait for it to, you know, like these are things that you're like, oh, I don't know exactly how to manage this thing. But then there's also just your own personal journey, like the challenges of relationships, and it is just like, so it's daunting, like it is daunting. And then you're just like also the pragmatic aspect of like, how's the money come in?
Right.
You know, how's the equation actually all work out? So it is daunting. Like I'm really I'm humbled by the path ahead, but I do have a certain amount of conviction towards it that I'm like, I got to make my future self proud, you know? Yeah. So I really want to do that. Yeah. And then I also like, we're also in the world of music. We're at this in creators. It's like, I feel like we're at a new frontier where a lot of the tools have been democratized. So I feel a certain amount of like conviction of like the independent artist, the way of the independent artist is kind of like amongst us. And so I feel a certain amount of like a youthful, like kind of like rebellious attitude as well, that I think is, hopefully I can carry out, into my own journey, where of like trying to find a new way of how somebody who is an artist might like actually survive in terms of like the pragmatic economic ways of doing that, with creating like a Patreon community. I have a Patreon community, and that's like how a big part of how I'm able to do these projects with these song portraits. And so I think that I want to be part of that movement, that kind of rebellious movement of trying to like give people permission to, number one, support people that they really believe in. Whatever, like everybody has, or you know, artists that they really love, that they really love, like, and maybe, you know, reach out and see if they can support them in any way, with, even if it's not monetarily, but with resources or anything. Right. Like I think the age of like, I would like to see like an age of like separating like this big wall, like the mediation between artist and like consumer kind of shrinks, and people understand that like, you know, an artist is just a dude that makes stuff, or a guy or a girl who just makes stuff. And the only way that they are able to do that is if people support it. I think there's a bit of like a veil in between it, where people are like, oh yeah, you know, you will just make it through the industry, you know? Right. But the industry is like just, you know, a mediator between it, and things kind of can get challenging when you start to navigate. So I feel like we're at this point where we have the tools now to do it. And it was just kind of like more of like, you know, people living that path. And there are many people that are, you know, beacons of hope for that. And I just hope to be participating in that kind of rebellion. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool. I think that, one of the things that Chris Williamson talks about that I connect to a lot is, like the Rocky cutscene idea, where he talks about how like in almost every single fight movie or every action movie, there's like the main character goes through the thing where he's like pulling logs and he's running in the snow and he's doing all this. But like in the movie, what you don't see, or what they don't describe, is how there's not this like known outcome where like at the end of this movie, I'm gonna win the fight. Yes. Right. Yes. And so I think that's one of the things that I'm finding throughout even my own journey, is that I think that in the movies, there's this perception that you go through the hard time, but you know, in the end, it's all going to work out. And it's like, I'm just going through the hard time, but eventually I will win. Yes. I think that the misconception that created is that like so many people who are looked up to for whatever thing that they've accomplished didn't have conviction the whole time that like this for sure is going to happen and work out. And so that was really it was reassuring for me to hear that a lot of the people that I look up to,
They had uncertainty.
they didn't have the conviction the full time. Like there were nights where they were like, am I on the right path? Should I turn around and do a different thing? Should I just throw it? Like, am I crazy for thinking this can work out? I think inevitably there will always be those nights, and maybe that's where it makes sense to get around your people and be like, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this.
Yes.
But
it's also kind of why we love like tragedies kind of for some reason, like the format of like a tragedy where like it doesn't play out well.
Yeah.
Because you almost go like, you're like, oh, so maybe that's just normal. Like, you know, like this feeling I had that like it could turn out tragically.
Right. I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy. Okay. So we kind of agree that this could happen. And you're like, oh, okay. For some reason, you're like, okay,
for sure.
A certain amount of like weird,
oddly reassuring.
Yeah.
100%. But I think it's really cool, and I hope that this serves as a cool time capsule.
Yeah.
Just like you're saying about being able to look back and be proud of like younger Mark for the days that he showed up in the basement and had your brother playing. I'm hoping that this can be a cool time capsule for like being one of the phases in the journey where it's like, I'm all in and I'm doing this thing. There's days where it's I'm like, for sure it's gonna happen. How could it not? And other days where it's looking at the ceiling, just being like, what?
Yeah.
There's no way. Like, how's this thing gonna happen? But I think it's a really cool thing for people to hear, because a lot of people end up talking about their journey once they're at the end of it. But there's not a lot of people that are able to talk of it towards like the first couple cobblestones on that thing. And I think that it's a huge gap in like the storytelling market, because the people who need to hear the story aren't the ones who are at the end of it. They're the ones who are on those first couple steps. And I think that the more people that can be vulnerable like you and actually tell that version of it, the more people who will be like, well, fuck it. If they're only on step 3, like I can keep going because I know that there's other people who are doing this thing, you know?
Yeah, that's such a good point. And thank you so much. This is a real gift to me, like, and to be able to share where I'm at in my journey now. And like, I totally agree with you that like what subliminal, like kind of it's inferred when you listen to podcasts and you're like, oh, the greatest people in the world. Great. I get to listen to all the greatest athletes and, you know, creators. And then they're like, they're on the Mount Olympus up there. And I'm like, well, I'm admiring them. But then you're like, well, where do I fit into this? You know, I'm like, hopefully there's some creator that looks at my story and goes like, well, like he's not the guy, you know, but he's like a guy.
Right.
He's a guy doing a thing that I want to do. And it's not pretty, and it's not like, but it's like, I am convicted. Like I'm here. Like, I would be surprised if in 5 years, I'm not still doing it. I'd be surprised if I'm not doing it in another 10.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, death or illness or tragedy takes me. And I would, another 20, still be surprised, you know, another 30, I'd still be surprised from my point of view now. And so like, yeah, I'm a dude that's convicted, and, hopefully that's inspiring to another person out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a nice frame with the song portraits, with this for me, like if we have this conversation and there's one person that listens to this and goes, yeah, that's awesome. Like that's going to carry that with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we did our job.
That's my goal every single time.
Yeah.
I talked to my friend Brady, who was gracious enough to record an episode with me before we had recorded
That's amazing.
a single episode. There wasn't a name for it yet, but I was asking him about like some of the numbers and stuff. And he was like, so let's just say a reel gets 300 views. You're probably kind of bummed, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, do you know how fucking insane it'd be if there was 300 people in this room right now?
Yeah.
And if we have a conversation and I leave here with my life change, or you leave here with your life change, would you consider that a successful use of 2 hours? I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's like, exactly, dude.
Yeah.
You can change one person's life. Yeah. That's a win every single time.
To be honest, if these weren't even on.
Yeah, for sure.
And we just,
Yeah.
we had a great conversation. I'm like, when,
Yeah.
yeah,
Likewise.
yeah,
100%. So, in kind of closing and getting out of here, your framework of creativity being a gift to give instead of one that you've been given is one that I think is like, as soon as you said that, I was like, well, that's going to be one that I
Yeah.
throw in the backpack and carry around for the rest of my life.
yeah.
What do you hope to do with that gift? What gift do you hope to give to the world as you kind of like look into the future?
I would love to. Number one, I'm really obsessed with just the craft of songwriting. I really love it, and I have a certain amount of just like I feel like I'm just striving in my own personal journey to try to become the best that I can possibly be in my own personal journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like on one end, I'm just like on my own personal journey, trying to achieve my own, just trying to become the best version of myself in my artistry and my
Right.
craftsmanship. So there's that. But in terms of the gift giving, and I'm like, okay, so I'm doing that to what end? And so then in terms of like, what do I hope when I'm climbing that mountain on my own? I hope that what I find there, I can give to somebody else, and it could change their life, or it could change my life. And when I imagine that, it's like, what that means to me is like that, those moments when you're just like, where you're like weeping, like when you have been devastated and you have the permission to just weep,
Mm-hmm.
Or you see something that's just so unbelievable that you can't even imagine, like you can't believe that this exists. And you're just like, how does this exist?
Yeah.
Like someone did something like, because I've had that experience where I've seen a song I've heard. I'm like, seriously, like somebody did this.
Right.
Like, how did they do that? And it's just like giddy, full of inspiration. And like, so I hope that I can climb my own journey of trying to craft something, trying to get to that hallelujah song
Mm-hmm.
that will, maybe some younger kid will, be playing that at a camp someday in a hallway, and it'll send him on his own journey as well. And I'll be on my own journey, and then, and just
The ripple effect.
ripple
continues.
effect it. And,
Yeah.
like, and also like, I'm winding along. There's the other aspects. Like I selfishly also just want to live my best life as
Yeah.
well, and it just seems like, thank God that it all seems like, from my perspective, that it's all in harmony with each other. That if I really go on my quest to climb that mountain, and I really go give it to somebody else and try to give it as a gift, that I will also somehow miraculously be living my best life as well.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's what I hope for my life. And like,
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Just giving to the world and trusting that, like, through giving the right things and like giving to other people, that it'll all work in harmony.
yeah,
Like,
there's this,
the world will be better and your life will be better for
yeah,
it.
yeah. And then also, like, man, I sing a lot about death and stuff. Like I do sing about hard topics. There is this aspect where I'm like, also like, life will body slam you, and like it's gonna be tough. Like, it is really gonna be tough. And like, there's something about just like, I don't know. I'm cautious to make it sound too kumbaya, because I'm like, man, life does get tough. Like, it really does. Tragedy comes and strikes, and like, but the hope is like, just like a crack in the door, with light peering through, and like that's, holding on to that, and like really just like finding a way to like really reach for that light is, I think, where I find the most amount of just like gritty substance in my being. And so I think, I'm careful of being like, I hope to just make everybody's lives better and live in harmony, and like, I'm like, I hope to be a crack in the door in somebody's dark night. That would be good enough for me. Yeah.
Mic drop. Dude, that's good. See a crack in the door in somebody's dark night. That's huge, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're doing it. Like I said, just from the things that I was able to see from preparing for this, it's been really cool. I think that it's clear that you lead from a place of impact and a place from giving, as opposed to trying to find the formula and the matrix for
Yeah.
how do I go and make a hit song?
Yeah.
How do I do something popular? And I mean, that being said,
I do love hit songs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it would be the coolest thing ever to see you get a hit song and be popping.
Yeah.
But I think that it's you're a super easy dude to root for, man.
Oh,
And,
thanks, man.
I'm really excited
Likewise.
to like dive deeper into your music, and along my journey, I'm definitely gonna need a couple of cracks in the door. So
Yeah, we
I
all
think,
do, dude.
Yeah, I think that just doing what you're doing, I would sign myself up for people who have been impacted by you doing your thing. So
Thanks,
I'll
man.
chalk this one up as a win.
Yeah, man. Like I right back at you, man. Like I was worried when that initial like text thread that we were in,
Yeah.
and I just responded with a haiku, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something just like, dude, like encouragement of like just keep doing you or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I really meant it, but I was also like, man, that was kind of a weird thing to do.
But I just opened with a haiku.
Yeah.
But I love it though.
but I'm saying like, why I'm saying that is that like it is inspiring inherently to see you doing what you're doing as well, and like that it rubs up on me as well. So it is a gift to me just to watch you living your journey. You know, like of course we're talking about it, but just to see you, you know, here we are with lights in a house in Airbnb in California. You flew in, you know, from a different state. It's like that is inherently inspiring to me. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'd love to stay in touch while we're climbing the mountains together.
Yeah,
And
man.
hopefully we'll find some things that we can be like, yo, check this one out.
Yeah.
Sharing back and forth.
I'm
would be
sure.
great.
I'm sure. I'm very hopeful that will be the case.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll drop everything in the description. And for everybody who made it this far, clearly you are somebody who cares about the deeper things in life. And I really encourage you. I watched the song Portrait that you did, and it made a huge impact on me. So for everybody who's made it this far, take an extra 15 minutes, go watch that. I think it's going to be really impactful. But thanks a lot for making the time to do this, man.
Oh
Really
yeah,
appreciate
man.
it,
No, I appreciate it, man. It's been a real pleasure.
Heck yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Be where your feet are, and we love you. Adios.